Yes, we got the other speaker, right? Okay. No, okay, let's get ready to start. Amanda, let's start. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Super Angel Roundtable. So we invited a couple people who are very active in the angel space to talk about angel investment as well as the impact of the pandemic to the angel investors. So I'll start with Randy. Randy's Keiretsu forum was ranked by Forbes for 2019 most active angel network. That's a pretty big achievement. So one question that in 2020, are you still active? Start with Randy.
Well, we have 53 locations globally, and I've used to travel to all of them, and I feel now I have a deeper lens in the marketplace because I'm on most of the Zoom calls. Tomorrow will be Spain. Last week was Sweden. The week before was Istanbul. And we are seeing more and more fundings because what we're seeing is our members, and also we also have a family of funds, which I'll talk about that later, but we have more time to focus on the great entrepreneurs. Just in Northern California alone, we've had, maybe 24 events virtually, and we're having a thought leadership event in 1 hour that about 100 of our members are joining. But again, we're trying to embrace the challenge, and we're trying to articulate to the entrepreneurs that yes, you have to obviously be very mindful of your evaluations. They probably need to come down. You need to win, but we need to win also. And as such, we are saying, well, maybe the rounds are decreasing too. Instead of $100,000 unit investments by our members, now it's 50. But conversely, if they're making their milestones next couple months, we'll increase that. But we're seeing more and more syndication happen between our chapters, especially globally with our domestic chapters. So the answer is we feel it's robust right now. We miss obviously gathering. We miss seeing our community. We have over 3,000 members around the world, and we've missed many expos. Our expo in Northwest is held at Redmond at Microsoft. Down here, we meet in California Street. Many of you probably that are listening have been to some of our expos where 500-600 of us gather. And generally, there's probably at least 6 to 8 investments that happen from these large events. But virtually, we're getting through this. We all want to be together. But conversely, this is the next best thing. But more important is our members have time. And our entrepreneurs have more time to interface virtually with our members, and checks are being written and wired. So we're open for business. Thank you.
Okay, that's good news. So next one, I want to invite James. James was ranked by Forbes most active angels multiple times. Maybe James, can you tell us a little bit more about the impact of pandemic to your angel investment?
Yeah, it's interesting because now a lot of events that are not even in the United States, I can do them on Zoom and do a lot more demo days. Like every day of the week almost, I have a demo day, sometimes two, one in the morning, one in the afternoon, or one in the morning, one in the evening. So I'm still making investments. And also with the PopUp Venture Syndicate, with some guys I know, we're doing some larger checks. And the interesting thing about that is some of the deals that are like Series B or C, that would have been harder to get in with an angel check. You can pool money and you actually can get in those deals. And before they weren't as open to having a bunch of angels or a bunch of individuals pooling money to go in.
Okay, I see. So my next question is that the pandemic, of course, there are many different investors are being impacted. The ventures, the small investors, private offices. So for the angels, so sounds like from Randy that it's a good thing that the angels has more time. Is that because of pandemic now priority of angel investment increased?
David, are you choosing us to talk, or we just talk spontaneously?
The question is for you.
Okay. I mean, you know, looking at the market right here, you know, obviously it's gone up today. I think the market conditions on the public side have a lot to do with obviously investor confidence and liquidity in the marketplace. Our thought leadership event.
Okay, looks like Randy has an internet connection. Maybe James, you want to take over the question?
Yeah, one thing that's interesting now too is a lot of people don't talk about it, but spending time with your current portfolio, because not all companies are doing bad because of COVID. About maybe 1/4 of my portfolio is actually doing better, and then 50% is kind of like just surviving along. I mean, have some ups and downs depending, and then the last 25% or 1/4 is kind of in struggle mode because of the pandemic. So I've been spending time, obviously the ones that are doing better, you talk to them and they don't need your help, so you don't focus there. And the ones that are in the 50% mode, you just want to make sure they don't go into the 25% mode going down. And the ones that are really struggling, you just want to try to help them. A couple of companies had to end up getting acquired because of it. So that's one thing. And another thing with the pandemic is just spending a lot of time at events and on Zoom, not only with founders, but just even speaking at events and just learning about things that you wouldn't normally do because everybody's got more time.
Well, Randy mentioned spend more time on Zoom. So does not mean that because of the pandemic, the angels actually spent more time in angel investment. Is that true of us?
Making more investments, more numbers of investments?
More time in angel investment.
More time, yes, because I'm seeing more companies than I was able to see before with Zoom.
Okay. Okay, got it.
So same number of investments, but I'm able to see more companies.
Okay, I see. So I'm going to invite our next panelist. Paul Singh is also a very active angel investor. He's a member of Thai board member as well as Thai Angels. Maybe Paul, welcome on board. Can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you very much. And so I wouldn't call myself a very active angel investor, but you know, all of us in the Valley do some angel investing. But I am involved with Thai Angels Group and see the investments that are coming through there. So yes, thank you for having me.
Okay, Paul, you missed the first question was that how does the pandemic impacting people like you as well as the angels around you?
So I think there are, you know, you can't put the same lens on everything, first of all, because there are some businesses that have actually benefited tremendously from the pandemic. And then there are probably businesses that are neutral, and then there are businesses that are kind of, you know, very negatively impacted. So I think for the negatively impacted business, it is really hard, you know, to raise the next round or to get the first round in. The ones that are, you know, already on the upswing, I think nothing has changed for them. And the issue is of people who are sort of in the neutral because they always have to defend as to how their business is getting impacted or not getting impacted by this pandemic.
Okay. I remember a couple of years ago when we started F50, the VC money is pretty easy. So nobody want to talk about angels because they want to go to VC, get a bigger check. In the winter, the VCs slow down the investment, everybody go to angels. So you said positive versus negative. Maybe I'll start with this question that I want to invite all three of you to comment. From an investment standpoint, the pandemic impact to the angels, that's a positive impact or negative impact?
Well, this is Randy Williams. I just came on another computer. Can you see me, David?
Very good, Randy.
Yep. So that's a two-edged question, but let's speak positively because I enjoy being positive in this ecosystem or any ecosystem. Is that we are starting to see, you know, we have 1,700 fundings at Keiretsu Forum, and our funds we're up to 240 fundings. we have blockchain, we have real estate, we have tech funds. What we're seeing is quite frankly, and let's speak for brick and mortar real estate. We do a lot of real estate funding at Keiretsu, and we've seen companies that were delivering 8 to 12% returns to us are now delivering anywhere from 12 to 14 because the banks are so polarized with PPP and are not lending to obviously some of the real estate investors, the GPs we're investing in. And so interest rates are climbing. There's the cap rate compression. Yes, there's a lot of obviously damage out there for retail, but we're sticking to our knitting with multifamily. Obviously, we invest in retail, but self-storage is something we're very interested in. Opportunity zones, we've seen probably a half dozen opportunities. I mean, opportunity zones, I mean, even San Jose, Google is in some of the opportunity zone areas. And so we're investing in that arena because a lot of our members, all our members are high net worth individuals, and they need taxable savings when they invest. So opportunities is funds we're looking at obviously the last year. So on the real estate side, there's real opportunity. And again, what I said earlier, embrace the challenge. There's a lot of challenges. And what we said, probably a year ago, David, is that we said, what inning are we in? And, everybody's talking about, well, the 8th or 9th inning, getting ready for a recession or correction. Well, it's here. So let's embrace the challenge. We're blessed. A lot of us have powder dry. And this is a time to obviously, hopefully create a win-win, the entrepreneur and or the general partner on the real estate side. But if you have capital right now, there's a lot of opportunities.
Yes.
Yeah, like I had mentioned before, I've seen a lot more opportunity to get into deals that you couldn't get into with quality companies at pretty close to the last valuation at Series B. So they didn't raise the valuation, sometimes it's dropped a little bit. And I've also noticed too, from some of my brokers, some great discounts on secondary shares that are companies that are, pretty close to going public. But, the people are desperate, need money, and are liquidating for 40, 50, 60% below the last valuation.
Yeah, Paul?
I think, like I'm involved with a couple of companies who have, raised their next rounds. So yes, the money is there, but, like you just mentioned, you don't always get the valuation that you were able to get. And so, I know one of the companies that I'm involved with, I'm doing a pro rata, and they have managed to up their valuation because they are in a space which is suddenly hot. So I think there is no general formula that I think seems to apply. It varies from company to company and the stage they're in, and how did they raise their last round versus what the current climate looks like for that business.
Yeah, and I think all of you are saying be in the game. We think this is a tremendous time to be in the game. If you're on the sidelines, you're not going to sense and see these opportunities, and that you can possibly, create a win-win and get the valuations decreased. And or, obviously you said about unicorns right now. One of our companies linked to, and we're seeing secondary markets, yes, decrease in value right now because people need obviously the capital, and it's a great time to obviously be hunting.
I see. So let's talk about the health tech a little bit more. So there's companies in the health tech space are directly related to COVID-19. I believe that had been covered a lot by other speakers. Let's talk about the companies in health tech space are not directly related to the COVID-19. Are there areas you personally or your other angel members are looking to invest? Anybody who's ready?
Yes, and telemedicine is hot right now, and then obviously our members, including myself, like making impact investments, especially this time. But a ventilator, companies, 3 or 4 months ago were hot. Now they're not. Obviously, we got to look at the trends, and we're trying to see things 4 or 5 years out or more. And so yes, we obviously want to have a cure, and some of our companies, in particular, East Coast companies that we've invested in are attempting to find the cure. So yes, game on. It's another opportunity, especially in that sector.
I think the thing that is changing in the healthcare that I've noticed and some of the entrepreneurs coming in is that the whole healthcare sector is being forced to digitize so fast that they never thought they will do. So as a result, I think they are probably more open to looking at some new ways of doing things. This, so efficiency, touchless, remote, all these things are kind of real in the healthcare so fast, but outside of COVID, it would have taken probably another 5 years before they'll talk about it. So that's a positive thing. So I think the opportunities are big for entrepreneurs now, again, back in health tech, to look at this, because the health tech sector, which generally lagged everyone else in technology adoption, is finally starting to look at it.
Yeah, I'm noticing that a lot of companies too are adding some type of telemedicine, and there's even now veterinarian telemedicine on being pitched. But one thing I'm actually more interested in is the picks and shovels for this. So kind of the infrastructure that will help the people that are setting up the technology that would have never used it before. Because like some of the other panels were saying, telemedicine is hot right now, but in 3 to 5 years, there might be a ton of competition there. So I'm trying to look for people who are building the infrastructure and the picks and shovels that in 3 to 5 years are going to be the ones that have the big revenues. Because I think that's changing a lot too, to go back to one of our other questions, is it's great to blitz scale and to take all the market share, but now we have to be a little bit more careful about the burn too while we scale. The cash flow.
Profitability and cash flow are back in fashion.
Okay. Let me go to another question to look at this issue. Okay. In the past, there is a rules called angel investing called 90 miles rules. So some people say it's 50 miles, means that angel investors typically only invest the founders within 50 miles. Why? Because you can drive to meet with them whenever needed, maybe only a few times a year. But now with Zoom, virtually you can meet anybody in the world. So let's say, does that change the game of angel investing?
Well, absolutely. And, we pride ourselves, and, everybody on the call, please get involved if you want to, see any of our companies. We have anywhere from 100 to 150 page due diligence books, written for each company. And we share that knowledge, whether it be our Swedish chapters, our Chennai chapters, or Bangalore, or San Francisco, Silicon Valley. And we're sharing knowledge. In fact, again, our event we're having in an hour, Thought Leadership, is about sharing knowledge about how we can exit early. We've had a seminar on this for about a year and a half. Angel investors have to be patient, and we're trying to, obviously get to a point where we're actually, instead of exiting 5-7 years, we're exiting 2 or 3 years, because our relationships, and all these men have great relationships with strategic, but we have strategics not only here, but obviously in Hong Kong, or, name it, around the world. Our strategics are coming in to not only invest heavily, but conversely to acquire. And most of our exits, I've rung the bell at Wall Street, but most of our exits with strategics. And so we care deeply about introducing knowledge. And so we can all invest, whether the company's in Istanbul. And a lot of our global chapters like to invest in Silicon, but I like to change the narrative and say, hey, we like to invest with you. We don't think we have the best deal flow. I mean, we always precociously think we do. But, as I travel the world, and I've been to all 353 locations globally, it is, there's great deal flow everywhere. I mean, I was fortunate to get out of Hong Kong on January 14th, but I was with 3,000 individuals at an event, and I saw some amazing things in China that I hadn't seen in years. So I've made 57 investments at Keiretsu, and then I've made over 200 with our funds. And right now we're about 90% domestic, but 4 years ago we're 99. Now we're moving 10% global, and then hopefully in a year from now, David, when we talk, we'll be 80-20. Our funds, but we want to be thinking globally all the time, because there's great opportunities everywhere.
Actually, on the same thing, I think Thai Global has opened up the investment for people to invest kind of anywhere on the platform. And obviously the traffic is both ways, but I think more Silicon Valley investors are starting to find deals in various parts of India through that forum, rather than the other way right now.
Yeah, I think it's changed the habits of a lot of investors, because people who wouldn't have normally seen certain companies from overseas are attending like 500 startups digital demo day and things like that. And vice versa, people from the United States are attending demo days in Singapore and places like that. So I definitely think it's going to change the habits.
Right. For instance, like demo day, first, like in March, the first physical demo day for VC and 500 were canceled or become online. And so people are very concerned at that time. Now it sounds like a new normal. All the demos online. So does that mean that even the accelerator programs and all the early investor networks, all those networks behavior will be changed? Will that be forever or just temporary?
Well, I think, in the next couple of years, I think we're going to have a hybrid model of, obviously coming together, hopefully, and then using, this technology. However, for me, the joy is, and the membership at Keiretsu is participation. There's joy in doing due diligence. There's joy in investing. There's joy coming together. This is not always, joy, doing this. I'd rather shake your hand, David, and hang out at one of your great events. But, we got to make the best of it. But, going forward, we're also sensitive to traffic patterns globally. I mean, obviously we're talking here in Northern California, and do we want to get on the highways again? Do we want to use public transportation? Do we, all my team, my Northern California team is very comfortable working remote. I didn't put anybody on, furlough or, all my employees are working fully paid, but they're not here. They're all over the country. But we're efficient, and conversely, aren't we lucky? We're starting to see people, very happy, conducting business in wherever in the world. And we're starting to see people move out of centers just last couple of months, starting the stress of San Francisco, people actually, acquiring properties, other places outside the city because of stress of the city. Again, we have to look at what the new normal is. The new normal for us is going to be probably hybrid. It's going to be a combination of this and also gathering.
So Randy, I want to have a follow-up question with you. Since you have members in all over the world, in the past, each of your chapters will operate relatively independently, right? Now with Zoom plus the online, does not mean that you actually have more integrations or collaborations, co-investment between different regions of the investors?
And I want them to be really independent. I want them to, obviously, build their own market share. But yes, they are enjoying more and more syndication. And if you've been to any of our events, David, you can see our chapter presidents all over the world come together. They're coming together for knowledge, but really why they're coming is to source great deal flow to take back to their chapters, to syndicate. And I would say over 80% of the companies that get funding in Keiretsu, we encourage, we don't require, but we encourage them to not only get capital from other chapters and, enjoy TIE or enjoy great other, we enjoy collaboration, cooperation, all obviously Angel Group, but we want them to enjoy the resources that might come from Singapore or might come from our Chennai chapter or wherever in the world, because, our members, are givers, and not only they have giving of capital, they're giving of resources. So that's kind of a theme I've trying to insert in Keiretsu Forum last 21 years. Yeah, the mother's milk is capital, but more important is resources. How can we help them with customers, introduce them strategic, all pro bono. All our due diligence reports are pro bono, free, but we want to give resources to these companies because customers or resources are sometimes more powerful than money.
Okay, so I want to put the same question for Paul. TIE is a very big global organization. Of course, the Silicon Valley has a little bit of advantage in the past for doing angel investment. Do you see any change of the TIE's angel structure globally towards earlier investment?
So I think, like I told you, that basically, TIE has always been trying to open up the kind of the global investment arm to every member, every charter member in various geographies. So that effort got accelerated because of this, because now, because of the location challenges are even less so. And then also on the, event and introductions and all those have all become virtual. And so that is also changing, obviously. I mean, previously you will only get a notice from TIE Silicon Valley. Now I get it from Thai Global, which has everybody's events listed, because now you can attend anybody's event if you want to. If they're in your time zone and you're not, feeling sleepy at that time, you can still join, right? So there is a big change that has occurred. Now, would this change continue? Would we go back to our old ways? Probably. I mean, we are human after all. So I think we'll have some changes, but I don't think the changes are going to be so uh, so major. Like, we will not pretend that we are in the remote world again once this gets over. So I think there are a lot of things which will change, but there are a lot of things will still stay the same.
Okay, now James, you as a super angel, actually, you presumably you participate in many different demo days, organize a different network. What do you saw the trends of the angel investment going non-local, going out of local?
Yeah, it's interesting now because now I can attend, see the demo days for like a Techstars that's overseas and things like that. But I've noticed a lot of these people with their demo days are also doing Slack channels. So now you have the opportunity and the ability to communicate and network with the founders and other investors. So that kind of helps too, because it's almost like now you're part of a group, kind of like Randy and his guys, where you can share diligence and things like that.
Okay.
So it's definitely going more global.
I see. Well, so what about the due diligence process? So one of the biggest reason why angel investment was like 15 miles in the past, because you want to meet with the founder to look at the eyes, so you can get the confidence that this guy is or this lady is worth for investment. Now it's Zoom. How do you do the verification? How do you do the DD work?
Well, you could still use Zoom to talk to the customers and talk to if they have any other investors, things like that. And you could even get a tour of the plant via Zoom, believe it or not.
Oh, okay. Never thought that way.
It's pretty cool. This robotics company did that for us.
Okay. How do you guys do? How does your organization do due diligence virtually?
So I think for every due diligence, it is really, really important that if you are, let's say, if I'm doing an investment in India, I would still like somebody from India to be part of that due diligence committee. Why? Because there is a different understanding of the local culture and things which you cannot get on Zoom. It just doesn't work on Zoom. That is what the kind of the local muscle memory, if you might, that exists. And so I think it is something that most of the time, if we are doing an investment in India, you would like somebody from India that you trust to do the due diligence besides other people.
And part of validation, and when we have 5 chapters in India, is a part of validation. Obviously, customers actually validating it for us. But we started inserting this last year, background checks. We don't want to get burned, and we're approaching 2,000 investments at Keiretsu. And there are some bad actors out there, and we just really don't want bad actors to come to any of our angel groups. And so I think it's really incumbent on all of us, leaders of angel groups, to make sure that we not only share due diligence, and we love sharing it with our strategics and or our VC members and or obviously the ecosystem of angels. But more importantly, we have to do background checks. We got to figure out, obviously, track record, but more importantly, if they've done the right thing in the past.
Okay, so based on YouTube side, I just want to verify that still, although you can meet the founder virtually, but actually you still cannot write a check if nobody is in the ground locally with that person. Is that true of us?
I think so.
Yeah, that's
unless
true
you
for
happen to know the
overseas.
person.
Yeah, I think checks are being written most for our particular experience to our portfolio companies, because we have met with them, and as they obviously creating their milestones and obviously creating up rounds, and we're still investing. Keiretsu Capital, which is our affiliate funds, of which we have 7, of which I'm a general partner, with 2 other general partners. We I would say probably 60% of the companies have come back the well for additional funding, and we funded I think the most we have funded is 4 tranches. And the AUM is small. We're only 50 million. But conversely, you know, we're doing checks between 150. The highest we've done is 800,000. But we're very comfortable, David, with our portfolio companies. We know them. We've, you know, obviously met with them, and those are the companies that are getting the most funding during this pandemic.
Okay, great. So we have our last panelist. He's a super angel from China. He's also he has a fund as well. So he's quite famous in China. He was based in Hong Kong and China. He has a affiliation in New York, sorry, in East Coast as well. So let's welcome Steve Lau from Eagle Fund. Steve,
hi, thank you, David.
You can introduce yourself.
Yes, thank you, David. Nice to meet you all, guys. Yeah, glad to join finally. Right now in Hong Kong and Beijing time is about 6 o'clock. Yeah, so yeah, Eagles Fund was founded in Hong Kong, and then we operate in Greater China and also in North America. We have been invested about the more than 200 deals, and our ticket size is about 500K to 1 million US. And we started from angel the period to pre-A and A round, and mostly our deals are the TMT and technology startups. So we coverage in quite a number of sectors, and some of our deals like the mobile operating OS, which is from Finland. It's called Yola Selfish, and this OS has been up and running in Russia. So recently, Finland government also want to invest into this OS. And then we have another deals called Movie Star. It's a unicorn that we invested about 8 years ago in China. And this company is running about 2 billion the revenues per year. It's going to be to IPO next year. Yeah, and we have some other deals like in Silicon Valley and in Los Angeles and also in Boston. Yeah, thanks, David.
Okay, great. Welcome on board, Steve. So I want to come back to similar question to Jim's Sowers just now. I'll ask Steve to answer the same question earlier. The question that angels go global, but without, do you have to have somebody on the ground to do the due diligence work? James.
So that's, oh, you're me. Yeah, that's where it comes into the great thing about the Slack channels for some of these demo days that are overseas, because you're networking with people, and if someone else is going to the deal, you can review their diligence. And you can still talk to customers and things like that too. I mean, like the other panelists were saying, there's some issues where the local people have a different kind of thinking. So you're not necessarily familiar with that. But normally if the accelerator is there, then the people who are at the accelerator are local. But it is more challenging though than.
Okay, Steve. So the question was that how does the pandemic change the angels investors' behavior in terms of non-local investment, and how do you do the due diligence work?
Yeah, pandemic changed a lot because it affects our deals that we have invested, and also affect the way we are doing due diligence. And for our existing deals, some of them they're really falling into the difficulties. Like yesterday, we have a robotic deals that we have a shoulder meetings over the Zoom, and they are running into cash flow problem. And all our the later round investors, like the pre-A round, A round, A+ round, they have put a lot of money in. They are so disappointed because just soon after they put in the money, pandemic started. Yeah, the end of last year. So in China, so they have no solutions, and nobody wanted to put in more money to save the company. Yeah, and then for the new projects, we are we are quite reluctant to proceed. So we have been delayed the due diligence on site, but yeah, we still host a lot of teleconference and also a video conference to talk to the founders, to talk to the team. But it's difficult to travel around. I have been stuck in Beijing for more than 6 months without traveling to other places. So even though I'm able to go to Shanghai, to Guangzhou, to some other place, or back to Hong Kong, but I just refuse. I just say, okay, I'll stay at home, and I'll stay at my own city that I can still walk around. But if we go some other place, once I come back, maybe there are 14 days. So that's the problem.
Okay, got it. We're gonna let the audience ask a few questions you have. Okay, just submit the question right now. For the panelists, for our roundtable host, it's great to have super angels around the world here. So my last hosted question for all of you is that is about duration of this impact. So just now we touched this a little bit. So, but do you think this remote investment or Zoom will be last longer, forever? Or just last maybe half year, 1 year, and go back to the normal 50 miles?
I think it'd be a hybrid, because you know what's another interesting thing about the Zoom? If it's recorded, where the person's pitching you and showing you stuff, if they're recording it, or if you're recording it, you can get them to send you the video if they record it, or if you record it, you can watch the video later and go back and review, and then you don't have to go back and ask them certain questions that may have happened in the presentation that you just missed. So there are some advantages of that. And I think it could change to a hybrid model where people may have an initial meeting this way, and then if they're interested further, they'll go meet in person for diligence and things like that. So it'll become part of the diligence even.
Yeah, as I said earlier, David, I agree. I did say hybrid too, and this is what where we're going to live in and get used to it, the new normal. But also back to a comment about funding, is that when a company, whether it emanates from Istanbul, wherever in the world is, if it does come to here, Silicon Valley, we want the validation of capital from that region before it comes. We want due diligence done before it comes. For instance, if it doesn't have customers, so we're a little late. It's really important that we see the validation of capital from wherever it came from around the world. If it comes from China, we want to see the fact that people have pulled the trigger and believe in that opportunity. So we don't, we're not that early stage anymore. After 21 years, we are, we're going a little upstream. Not, there's a lot of risk in what we do, but conversely, a lot of opportunity. And to mitigate some of that risk is to obviously look at, one, it's been funded before, and two, it has customers.
I think what I think post this is going to be kind of new normal. I don't think we're going to return to the normal we were at, and we won't return to where we are today. So I think the new normal will probably define itself over time, but I think it will be, people will travel less if, it will be acceptable to travel less, if you might. Right. Today, it is not acceptable to travel less. So that acceptability of traveling less means we will learn to do a little bit more things remotely, and therefore things will change, and how they will evolve, yet remains to be seen, but they won't be exactly like they were before, at least for a long time. And so we will see some changes, hopefully for the positive, where, for a 50-minute meeting, people don't have to travel just to be next to each other and feel good. But for, still the value of, meeting somebody in person and looking them in the eye is not going to go away, because Zoom is not a substitute for it, no matter what we do. And so that will still be there, and more so in, other countries than in the US, because in US we've kind of always been used to doing business without looking everybody in the eye, but you can't do that in many, many countries already, and that is not going to change. Culture is not going to change because of this.
Steve?
Yes, actually, we have been meeting some founders in the last month, but just only a few days ago, Beijing has been new pandemics, right? In the seafood market. So everybody is scared. So now the Beijing is come back to very strict control. So we still have to stay at home and go back to the video conference. But yeah, luckily speaking, that in Beijing, we stay not in the CBD. We stay in the countryside, and we still can play a round of golf and meeting people. But there's no soccer, no basketball, no people gathering. And so I think life is changed us, and we need to take care of all the things that we are facing. And but I believe, like in China, maybe 1 month later, things will improve and people will go around. And yeah, there are lots of people on the street since last month, and we'll continue to look at more deals. And then our fundraising, our new funds fundraising scheme is continue. And there are some LPs they are started to look for good GPs. They wanted to invest. So it's a good sign. But we'll focus on different areas. For example, like tourism, online traveling, all those things is difficult. And so yeah, to look at more SaaS software, more internet solutions, and all those smart devices. Thank you.
Okay, great. So UCSF Entrepreneur Center Stephanie has a question. Her question that will you invest into a founder? Of course, assume you met in the Zoom, but you never met the person in person. Will you? It's a question for all of you.
Yeah, I think it depends on who introduced the founder. If this founder is coming from the street, from email, then I think I will not invest in. If from a close friend, that will be different.
Right, I kind of agree with that. If it's a warm introduction, or if it comes from like an accelerator or a referral from a startup you've already invested in or another investor, then it's possible. But if it's just some cold email or spam email on LinkedIn, someone you never met before, then probably not.
Actually, I just made an investment about a couple of months ago with somebody that I have actually never met personally. But this one was recommended by the Thai Angels Forum, and they had done the due diligence. And I missed the meeting when they presented. And I did have a phone call with them. And based on that, I went ahead with it. And so far, touch wood, it's going really well.
Lauren Anderson.
I'm sure Randy does that a lot already, right, Randy?
Oh, are you still on?
Yes, I have to jump off pretty soon because we have our big event coming in 7 minutes. But yeah, I agree with everybody. And Stephanie, to answer your question, is that, we have to have that warm introduction. We have to have the validation of obviously capital from, people we know and or respect. Of my over 200 investments that I've made, I've probably only met maybe 25% of the entrepreneurs, the founders directly. So, I'm relying, fortunately, on mind share swarm intelligence of our community and smarter people than me when I make investments.
Okay, so time flies. I want to thank you all for the great panel. I want to ask each of you give a very short summary to other angel investors who are watching this video. Whoever is ready.
Okay, I'll start. You know, all of us are part of communities, so don't do it alone. You know, join a community. You know, join Accelerator, join Thai Angels, join Keiretsu Forum. We're blessed to have members at Keiretsu Forum. They're members of many organizations that bring obviously expertise and deal flow from other angles and other obviously groups. And so be part of a community. Don't do it alone. Where I've made bad investments before I started Keiretsu Forum 21 years ago is, you know, I didn't have obviously swarm intelligence. I didn't have mindshare. I didn't have smarter people around me. So build your community, trust your community, and be careful. You know, and if you want to make a, you know, $500,000 investment, go 100,000, and then, you know, force obviously entrepreneurs to meet their milestones, and then you'll invest up to 500,000. That's how I invest personally. I like doing many tranches and rounds predicated on their projections. Meet your projections. If you do, you'll get more capital. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. Community is very important. In Beijing, we have many angel investment associations. So so each association has the different networks. So join more communities and then to find more good deals and follow on with those experienced guys that to save your time and to save your money and save your failure. So there are still many good deals that potentially will be founded in all the incubators, accelerators, and also in the communities. So yeah, I've been doing many deals in those communities that bring us a lot of returns. Thank you.
I couldn't agree more. I think you know, Thai Angels is another group like, you know, many of us invest through. So community is important. And I think at the same time, the other thing I would tell the investors is that maybe this is actually a better time to invest than it has been, because, you know, the entrepreneurial ecosystem, there are probably more openings to get better deals than before. So rather than, you know, because we're all investing for long-term, not for short-term deals. So this might still be a great time to invest rather than just saying, okay, I'm going to wait and see.
Right. The one thing I would add to what everybody's saying too is learn as much as you can about the tech and the market of what you're looking to invest in, and then lean on your network and your community to fill in what you don't know. And then you can also form your own critical thinking from getting the different viewpoints.
Okay, great. So I want to thank you all for the great panel. And today I learned a lot about the remote angel investment, so Zoom. I look forward to see you all in the Zoom again very soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.